The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963 in Dallas, Texas, remains one of the most debated events in American history. Despite the official investigation concluding that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, numerous conspiracy theories have emerged over the decades, fueled by perceived inconsistencies, secrecy, and mistrust of the official narrative. Here are some of the most prominent conspiracy theories surrounding JFK's assassination. The second shooter or grassy knoll theory. One of the earliest and most popular conspiracy theories suggests that there was a second shooter, possibly stationed on the grassy knoll near Dealey Plaza. Witnesses at the scene reported hearing gunshots from multiple directions, leading to speculation that Oswald could not have been the sole gunman. This theory gained traction due to the controversial magic bullet explanation used by the Warren Commission, which some claim is implausible. CIA involvement. The Central Intelligence Agency is often implicated in theories suggesting a government conspiracy. Proponents argue that the CIA may have orchestrated the assassination because Kennedy was seen as a threat to the agency's power. They cite Kennedy's reported dissatisfaction with the CIA following the Bay of Pigs invasion, and his desire to reduce American involvement in Vietnam as possible motives. The mafia's role. Another theory posits that organized crime played a role in Kennedy's death. The mafia may have been angered by the Kennedy administration's crackdown on organized crime, spearheaded by JFK's brother, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. Mob leaders like Carlos Marcello and Sam Giancana have been mentioned as potential orchestrators of the plot. Fidel Castro's revenge. Given the United States' attempts to assassinate Cuban leader Fidel Castro and overthrow his regime, some believe Castro retaliated by arranging for Kennedy's murder. However, there is little concrete evidence to support this theory, and Castro himself denied involvement. In fact, those close to Castro said he was saddened when he heard that Kennedy had been murdered. The Soviet Union's involvement. During the height of the Cold War, speculation arose that the Soviet Union was behind the assassination. Oswald's brief defection to the Soviet Union in 1959 and his pro-communist views added fuel to this theory. However, the Soviet Union had little to gain from such an act and denied any involvement. The military-industrial complex theory. Some theorists argue that Kennedy's assassination was carried out by individuals within the military-industrial complex, as he was reportedly planning to scale back American military involvement in Vietnam. This theory often references Kennedy's 1961 speech warning against the dangers of the military-industrial complex gaining excessive influence. Lyndon B. Johnson's involvement. Another controversial theory implicates Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, suggesting he had ambitions to become president and may have been involved in a conspiracy to eliminate Kennedy. Supporters of this theory point to Johnson's alleged connections with Texas oil interests and his political rivalry with JFK. Secret societies. Some theories propose that secret societies like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, or other shadowy groups orchestrated the assassination. These ideas are often tied to broader narratives of global conspiracies seeking to control world events. The Umbrella Man. One of the stranger elements of the assassination is the so-called Umbrella Man. In footage from the day, a man is seen holding an open umbrella near the motorcade despite the sunny weather. Conspiracy theorists have speculated that the umbrella was used to signal the shooters or as a weapon. However, the man later identified himself and explained it was a form of protest against Kennedy's policies. The Zapruder film, which captured the assassination in detail, has been scrutinized extensively. Some claim it shows inconsistencies, such as the direction of JFK's head movement after being shot, which they argue suggests shots came from different angles. Others suggest the film was altered or tampered with to support the official narrative. Critics of the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover have suggested that the Bureau may have been involved in a cover-up. Hoover was reportedly eager to quickly resolve the case, and some believe the FBI's investigation was incomplete or deliberately misled the public. Some theorists suggest the assassination was a false flag operation designed to create political or social chaos, justify military actions, or consolidate power within certain government factions. The official investigation by the Warren Commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in assassinating Kennedy. However, many Americans were dissatisfied with its findings, leading to the rise of alternate theories. The subsequent House Select Committee on Assassinations in 1979 concluded that Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy, but did not identify the conspirators. Lack of transparency. Many government documents related to the assassination remain classified, fueling suspicion. Inconsistencies in evidence, perceived contradictions in eyewitness testimony, ballistics evidence, and the timeline have led people to question the official story. Cultural impact. The shock of Kennedy's assassination left a lasting imprint on American society, making it fertile ground for speculation. While there is no definitive evidence to confirm any of these conspiracy theories, the enduring fascination with JFK's assassination reflects a deep-seated mistrust of official explanations and a longing to make sense of a tragedy that changed the course of history. The theory that the CIA was involved in JFK's assassination is one of the most prominent and widely discussed. The reasoning often centers on Kennedy's conflicts with the agency and its role in covert operations. The failed CIA-led invasion of Cuba to overthrow Fidel Castro in 1961 was a major embarrassment for the Kennedy administration. Kennedy reportedly blamed the CIA for the debacle and was said to have privately vowed to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. Kennedy's rumored intentions to reduce U.S. involvement in Vietnam clashed with the CIA's and military-industrial complex's interests, which some theorists argue relied on the continuation of Cold War conflicts. Some suggest rogue elements within the CIA orchestrated the assassination without official sanction, using their expertise in covert operations and assassination techniques developed for use against foreign leaders. The CIA's Operation Mongoose aimed to destabilize Cuba and assassinate Castro, which may have created a dangerous culture of impunity and ambition within the agency. Critics of the Warren Commission argue that the CIA withheld crucial information, such as their surveillance of Lee Harvey Oswald and knowledge of his time in the Soviet Union, from the investigation. J. Edgar Hoover's possible role. J. Edgar Hoover, the long-serving director of the FBI, has also been named in theories suggesting complicity, or at least a cover-up in the assassination. Close relationship with Lyndon B. Johnson. Hoover and Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson were known to have a close working relationship. Some theories suggest Hoover supported or facilitated efforts that would benefit Johnson, who became president after Kennedy's death. Quick resolution of the case. Hoover was reportedly eager to close the investigation quickly, possibly to avoid a broader inquiry into the FBI's activities or prevent public doubt about the U.S. government's stability. The FBI's early conclusions, that Oswald acted alone, were instrumental in shaping the Warren Commission's findings. Potential motive. Hoover feared losing his position as FBI director. JFK and his brother, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, were reportedly considering replacing Hoover, which could have provided him with a motive. FBI's role in monitoring Oswald. The FBI had been aware of Lee Harvey Oswald prior to the assassination. Oswald had visited the Soviet embassy in Mexico City, and some speculate that the FBI or Hoover may have had more extensive knowledge of Oswald's plans than was publicly disclosed. Alleged involvement in a cover-up. Critics argue that the FBI failed to thoroughly investigate key leads, such as witness testimonies about additional gunmen or evidence suggesting a broader conspiracy. Overlap between CIA and Hoover. Some theories suggest collaboration or mutual benefit between the CIA and Hoover in orchestrating or covering up the assassination. Shared interest in silencing JFK. Both the CIA and Hoover may have seen Kennedy as a threat to their power and autonomy. JFK's push for transparency and his criticism of intelligence agencies might have united factions against him. Coordination to quell public doubts. Both agencies had a vested interest in promoting the lone gunman theory to avoid broader scrutiny that could reveal their internal operations and intelligence failures. Why these theories persist. Declassified documents and delays. Over the decades, declassified documents have revealed the CIA and FBI withheld information from the Warren Commission. This lack of transparency has fueled suspicion. Historical context: the 1960s were a period of distrust in U.S. institutions, exacerbated by the Vietnam War, the Watergate scandal, and other abuses of power by the intelligence community. Conflicts of interest. The perception of self-serving motives among high-ranking officials like Hoover and the secretive nature of the CIA have made these institutions prime targets for conspiracy theories. While no definitive proof exists to implicate the CIA, J. Edgar Hoover, or their respective organizations in JFK's assassination, their historical actions and the political environment of the time have kept these theories alive. The combination of secrecy, power struggles, and inconsistencies in the official narrative ensures that speculation will continue for years to come. Kennedy's stance on the Vietnam War. Plans to withdraw from Vietnam. In 1963, Kennedy reportedly intended to begin withdrawing U.S. troops from Vietnam. This is supported by National Security Action Memorandum 263, issued in October 1963, which called for the withdrawal of 1,000 U.S. military personnel by the end of the year. Kennedy's vision conflicted with the prevailing sentiment among military and intelligence officials, who believed in escalating U.S. involvement to prevent the spread of communism in Southeast Asia. Shift after his assassination. After Kennedy's death, his successor Lyndon B. Johnson reversed this course, escalating U.S. involvement in Vietnam. This drastic policy shift has fueled speculation that elements of the military-industrial complex, or CIA, which stood to benefit from prolonged conflict, may have played a role in Kennedy's assassination. Conflict with the military-industrial complex. Kennedy was viewed as a potential threat to the powerful nexus of defense contractors, military leaders, and policymakers who profited from the Cold War arms race and global conflicts. His speech at American University in June 1963, advocating for peace and détente with the Soviet Union, was seen as radical at the time and possibly contrary to the interests of those pushing for a hardline stance. Kennedy's criticism of the CIA. The failed Bay of Pigs invasion in April 1961, a CIA operation to overthrow Cuban leader Fidel Castro, left Kennedy disillusioned with the agency. He believed the CIA misled him about the operation's likelihood of success. Afterward, Kennedy took steps to curtail the CIA's power, including forcing the resignation of CIA Director Allen Dulles and other top officials. Kennedy reportedly sought to reduce the CIA's role in formulating foreign policy and limit its covert operations, which he believed undermined U.S. credibility abroad. The CIA's ongoing covert operations against Castro, as part of Operation Mongoose, conflicted with Kennedy's desire to avoid direct confrontation with the Soviet Union, particularly after the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. His willingness to engage in dialogue with adversaries, including Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, ran counter to the CIA's preference for aggressive strategies. Kennedy and his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, were reportedly concerned that the CIA operated as a state within a state, with too much autonomy and influence. This distrust might have deepened after incidents like the Bay of Pigs and intelligence failures regarding Soviet activities. Covert CIA activities overseas. After the Bay of Pigs disaster, Kennedy wanted tighter control over covert operations. He expressed skepticism about the CIA's interventions in countries like Vietnam, Laos, and Cuba, which were often conducted without the full oversight of the presidency or Congress. By attempting to scale back the agency's operations, Kennedy threatened the institutional power of the CIA, which had grown significantly since World War II and was deeply entrenched in the global fight against communism. Kennedy's preference for diplomacy and negotiated solutions, evidenced by his handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis, contrasted sharply with the CIA's preference for covert action and regime change strategies. The military-industrial complex, Kennedy's push for peace, de-escalation in Vietnam, and reduction of defense spending threatened the profits of defense contractors and arms manufacturers. His assassination allowed Johnson to take the opposite approach, leading to the massive military buildup in Vietnam. Some theorists argue that rogue elements within the CIA, acting independently or with tacit approval from higher-ups, orchestrated the assassination to protect the agency's power and prevent Kennedy from dismantling it. Another theory suggests that the CIA and military officials conspired to eliminate Kennedy, fearing that his policies would weaken the United States in its fight against communism. Many documents related to JFK's assassination remain classified, fueling speculation about a cover-up. The CIA's reluctance to fully disclose its activities from that period only deepens suspicions. The dramatic escalation of the Vietnam War after Kennedy's assassination is often viewed as a key piece of circumstantial evidence. The CIA's history of clandestine operations and the classification of documents related to the assassination have contributed to ongoing mistrust. Revelations about CIA activities in the 1960s and 1970s, such as assassination plots against foreign leaders, have reinforced suspicions about their potential involvement in domestic events. While no definitive evidence has emerged to prove that Kennedy's opposition to the Vietnam War and covert CIA activities directly led to his assassination, these factors remain central to many theories, reflecting broader concerns about unchecked power and secrecy within government institutions. Lyndon B. Johnson and J. Edgar Hoover's role. J. Edgar Hoover, the long-serving director of the FBI, was adamant from the outset that Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole perpetrator. Hoover's insistence on this narrative helped frame the direction of the investigation. Within hours of the assassination, Hoover was already communicating this conclusion to Johnson. Hoover stated that the case needed to be resolved quickly to prevent public doubt or international conspiracies, particularly involving the Soviet Union or Cuba, which could escalate Cold War tensions. Johnson was deeply concerned that the assassination could destabilize the nation and potentially spark a nuclear confrontation with the Soviet Union if people believed a foreign power was involved. Hoover's assurance that Oswald acted alone aligned with Johnson's desire to calm public fears and avoid broader geopolitical repercussions. Hoover and the FBI maintained that only 3 shots were fired during the assassination. The first shot missed. The second shot struck Kennedy in the neck and Governor John Connally in the back. The third shot fatally struck Kennedy in the head. This 3-shot theory became central to the Warren Commission's findings, despite many eyewitnesses in Dealey Plaza reporting hearing more than 3 shots and claiming they came from different directions. Numerous witnesses reported hearing gunfire from locations other than the Texas School Book Depository, particularly the grassy knoll, and some claimed to have seen smoke or suspicious individuals in that area. Hoover and the FBI dismissed these accounts, focusing exclusively on Oswald as the lone gunman firing from the 6th floor of the depository. The creation of the Warren Commission. Johnson established the Warren Commission, chaired by Chief Justice Earl Warren, to provide a definitive account of the assassination and prevent rumors or alternative theories from gaining traction. Johnson also wanted to preempt separate investigations by Congress or other government agencies, which could lead to conflicting conclusions. Hoover played a significant role in shaping the Commission's findings by providing the FBI's investigative materials as the primary evidence. This effectively ensured that the Commission's conclusions aligned with the FBI's lone gunman theory. The Commission's scope was tightly focused on confirming Oswald's sole responsibility. Evidence that contradicted the official narrative, such as eyewitness accounts of additional shooters or alternative ballistic evidence, was largely dismissed or ignored. Conflicting eyewitness testimonies. Many witnesses in Dealey Plaza, including law enforcement officers and bystanders, reported hearing more than 3 shots. Some even stated they heard as many as 5 or 6. The echoes in Dealey Plaza, with its buildings and underpasses, likely contributed to the confusion, but the widespread reports of additional shots have fueled suspicions of a second shooter. Several witnesses pointed to the grassy knoll as the origin of at least 1 gunshot. Some described seeing a puff of smoke or flashes of light in that area. Despite these accounts, the Warren Commission concluded there was no credible evidence of a second shooter or shots fired from the grassy knoll. Witnesses also reported seeing suspicious individuals in Dealey Plaza, including men who appeared to be acting as spotters or fleeing the scene after the assassination. These reports were largely downplayed in the official investigation. Criticism of Hoover and the Warren Commission. Critics argue that Hoover and Johnson were more concerned with closing the case quickly than conducting a thorough investigation. This urgency may have led to key evidence being overlooked or ignored. The need to present a simple, reassuring narrative, Oswald as a lone, crazed gunman, may have shaped the commission's conclusions. The Warren Commission dismissed the possibility of a broader conspiracy, despite significant evidence and testimony suggesting otherwise. Later investigations, such as the House Select Committee on Assassinations in 1979, concluded that Kennedy was likely assassinated as a result of a conspiracy, citing acoustic evidence of multiple shooters. Hoover's control over the FBI's investigation and his influence on the Warren Commission have led to accusations that he orchestrated a cover-up, either to protect the FBI's reputation or to shield others potentially involved in a broader plot. The Warren Commission's conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, firing 3 shots from the Texas School Book Depository, has been accepted by many but remains highly controversial. The conflicting eyewitness accounts, reports of additional shots, and suspicions about Hoover's and Johnson's motivations have ensured that conspiracy theories surrounding JFK's assassination endure to this day. While the official narrative may have sought to bring closure, the lingering doubts and unanswered questions continue to fuel speculation about what really happened in Dallas on November 22, 1963. The Coca-Cola incident. Approximately 10 minutes before the assassination, Oswald was reportedly seen in the second-floor lunchroom of the Texas School Book Depository by a co-worker, drinking a Coca-Cola and appearing relaxed. For Oswald to have been the lone gunman, he would have had to ascend 2 flights of stairs to the 6th floor, assemble the rifle if it was disassembled as some suggest, and fire 3 precise shots within a narrow window of time under 6 seconds according to the Warren Commission. After the shots were fired, Oswald would have had to quickly hide the rifle, descend the stairs, and appear calm and composed when seen shortly afterward. Eyewitness testimony of calm demeanor. Moments after the shooting, Oswald was reportedly seen in the second-floor lunchroom by Roy Truly, the building superintendent, and Marion Baker, a police officer. Both testified that Oswald appeared calm, not out of breath, and showed no signs of having just been involved in a high-stress act like firing a rifle at the president. Challenges to the Warren Commission's narrative. Skeptics argue that the timeline is implausible, given the physical and mental demands of firing 3 accurate shots, evading detection, and then presenting a calm demeanor. Some suggest that the timing discrepancies and Oswald's behavior indicate he may not have been the shooter, or that someone else may have been involved. Theories of a Lee Harvey Oswald double. The idea that Oswald had a double is a significant component of conspiracy theories. Proponents of this theory believe a lookalike may have been used to impersonate Oswald and create confusion or frame him for the assassination. Here's how this theory unfolds. Reports of an Oswald lookalike. Multiple witnesses claim to have seen Oswald in locations or situations that conflicted with his known whereabouts in the months leading up to the assassination. For example, some reports placed Oswald at the Soviet embassy in Mexico City in late September 1963. However, photographic and voice evidence of the person at the embassy did not match Oswald's appearance or voice. Oswald's arrest at the Texas Theater. Oswald was apprehended at the Texas Theater in Dallas approximately 80 minutes after the assassination. Witnesses at the scene reported confusion, with some claiming a person resembling Oswald exited the theater through a different entrance. This has led to speculation that a double was present at the theater, possibly to further implicate Oswald or mislead investigators. Also, that the double was involved in killing a police officer earlier that day, CIA's role in the double theory. Some theorists suggest that the CIA or another intelligence agency may have recruited or manufactured an Oswald double as part of a larger plot. This theory aligns with broader claims that Oswald was being monitored or manipulated by intelligence agencies due to his prior defection to the Soviet Union and pro-Cuba activities. Evidence that raises questions. Witness testimony at the theater. Eyewitness accounts at the Texas theater are inconsistent. Some witnesses claim to see two individuals who resembled Oswald, adding to suspicions of a coordinated effort to frame him. The Oswald imposter in Mexico City. The CIA's surveillance of the Soviet embassy in Mexico City revealed photos and audio recordings of a man claiming to be Oswald. However, these do not match Oswald's known appearance or voice, leading to speculation that a double was used to fabricate a trail linking Oswald to the Soviets. Oswald's own claims. After his arrest, Oswald repeatedly declared that he was a patsy, implying he was set up to take the fall for the assassination. He denied shooting President Kennedy and Officer J.D. Tippit, adding to the intrigue. Challenges to the double theory. No conclusive evidence of a double. While there are discrepancies in witness testimonies and documentation, no definitive evidence has been found to confirm the existence of an Oswald double. Maybe he was disposed of afterward to make the double theory unreliable? Oswald's established presence in Dallas, Oswald's known activities including his employment at the Texas School Book Depository and his pro-Cuba activism, are well documented, making the double theory more difficult to substantiate. The rifle and its capabilities. The Carcano bolt-action rifle. The rifle Oswald allegedly used was an Italian-made Mannlicher Carcano Model 91/38, a military surplus weapon purchased through mail order. It was a relatively inexpensive rifle with a reputation for being cumbersome, difficult to operate quickly, and not particularly accurate. The rifle required the shooter to manually operate the bolt between each shot, which involves ejecting the spent cartridge, chambering the next round, and re-aiming the weapon. Timeline of the shots. The Warren Commission concluded that 3 shots were fired over a span of approximately 6 to 8 seconds. The first shot missed. The second shot hit both Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally, the magic bullet theory. The third shot fatally struck Kennedy in the head. Critics argue that firing 3 shots with a bolt-action rifle in such a short time, while maintaining accuracy, would have been extremely difficult if not impossible for Oswald, especially given his known marksmanship skills. Expert marksman tests. Subsequent tests by expert marksmen have produced mixed results. Some were able to replicate the shots within the time frame, while others struggled to achieve the same accuracy and speed. The conditions of these tests have also been questioned, as they often did not fully replicate the exact circumstances of the assassination, such as the moving target, the angle of the shots, and the stress of the situation. Oswald's marksmanship skills. Oswald's marksmanship has been a point of contention. While he received training as a Marine, his shooting scores were reportedly average, and some accounts suggest he was not an exceptional marksman. This has led to doubts about his ability to execute such precise shots under pressure. Conclusion. The doubts surrounding the Carcano rifle, the timeline of the shots and Oswald's marksmanship skills contribute to the skepticism of the lone gunman theory. While the Warren Commission concluded that Oswald acted alone, the physical and logistical challenges of firing 3 accurate shots in such a short time frame have fueled ongoing debate and conspiracy theories. The enduring questions about the rifle and Oswald's capabilities reflect broader concerns about the completeness and accuracy of the official investigation, ensuring that the mystery of JFK's assassination remains a topic of fascination and speculation.